answer for that. Episode 153. Real estate investing for real estate agents, because this is the only real estate podcast worth listening to. So we're going to get started right now. Google. So it's got to be real.
No, it's true.
All right, episode 153. Today we are talking about real estate investing for real estate agents. Before we get started, we got to thank our sponsors. If it wasn't for our sponsors, the show would go on, but it just makes it a lot easier.
Oh, it'd be, more expensive for us too.
Yeah, exactly. So we truly appreciate you. and the number one person that we really appreciate, actually, they're all number one. We can't choose them. And so if I could name them off at the same time, maybe Matt, Brian, and myself could just all start talking about our favorite sponsor.
Overlapping.
Yes. But the first one today, the winner that was chosen out of a hat, is Theron. And
I feel so bad. I was just texting Theron an hour ago. We have been trying to have lunch, and we do the same thing.
But I feel like you said this last
No,
episode.
we were talking about this. Like, this is what I do, because I am the dude that lives by my calendar, and so is he. And that's a virtue. You should live by your calendar, except I only do that with business. I don't put social stuff. A lot of times it's social stuff on my calendar a lot of times, especially if it takes place during the week. And so we were supposed to have lunch on Friday, and I didn't realize that I forgot that I'm a groomsman at a wedding on Friday, and I didn't really know that I had duties. So I got to be there like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And so I had to text him an hour ago and be like, dude, I'm so sorry. I'm not
duty.
going to make
By the way, at least
again.
Was this supposed to be for this Friday?
Yeah.
Well, at least you text him 2 days early. Cause you could have been there while he was waiting, like he was waiting at Chili's last
time,
right?
and he's just eating Cobb salads, chain eating them.
The wedge salad, right? Right, Lo? Lo loves the wedge, by the way. So if you ever see Lo Hornbuckle, just throw wedge salad images at him all day long. He loves it. But let's go back to our favorite sponsors. Theron, sounds like that's
I told you, you're getting warned. We should have done this earlier. That was a warning shot.
To make it through.
Yeah, Theron Smith. Theron Smith is our favorite today, number one on our list and number one in our hearts for today only. And it's because he's got the armadillo protection, right? He's got that armor, and it's that warranty company that sets your homeowners, your clients, you as an agent up for success, because we want to put you in the best position to win. So connect with Theron Smith, armadillo.1/Tore, TORE, for the best home warranty company in the United States.
Probably in the entire universe.
Yeah.
But when it comes to other universally cool things, check out Mortgage Mike. Our segues are on point. Yeah. That is Michael the Backer, the number one lender in our hearts and in the state of Texas and Oklahoma. Check out mortgagemikeoftexas.com to get that Mortgage Mike stamp of approval.
It's coming. I'm telling you. We're going to get Jesse to do it.
We're going to talk about this so long that by the time that Christmas comes around, it's going to make sense to just do it as a gift to him.
Yes.
That's our strategy, so we don't have to spend other money. We're just like, here's your Christmas gift. It's the thing we've been talking about for 2 years.
Yeah. Yes. So it's coming. Just wait for those videos. Wait for those ads. Wait for those emails to come out. And it's going to retarget you. And so that is really annoying. And so the last not annoying piece is homewarddfw.com, our favorite property management company, because we own it and we're good at this. Right? So that's our slogan. We own it and we're good at this. So send over your tenants. Send over your lease opportunities, right? Because right now we are seeing a lot of homes come off the market. And actually this will segue into why you should be investing real estate agents, right? Agents need to be investing right now. And we're seeing homes come off the market. They're canceling, they're expiring, they're getting withdrawn. Yeah. And we're seeing a lot of responses like, we're not going to sell it right now because we rented it out.
Yeah.
And so you as an agent,
smart.
Here's what I'll say. Agents, if you have houses that are sitting and they're not selling and you know they're just going to fire you, they're going to cancel, send them over to us, right? We will give you a referral fee for leasing them out, right? We're going to give them back to you when they're ready to sell. And so we've got that for you. Let us become that backup plan so you don't lose the client. right? Because people like myself, the Good Home Team, people like Livian, they're calling them. And we're going to take them as our client if you don't refer them to us. You refer them to homewarddfw.com, they're protected. And we'll send them back to you when they're ready to sell.
Otherwise, I'm calling them at 8:01.
Exactly.
Dude, Kelderman's been straight pounding expires for 2 weeks. And it's been awesome.
It's been pretty cool. And as we get deeper into this, I had a listing appointment today that's really relevant to the subject we're talking about. I do want to piggyback off what Brian said earlier, though, because he's the groomsman and he's got 10 a.m. duties. Dude, I want nothing to do with a wedding where they need me to do shit 8 hours before the drinking starts. Like, I have no
By the way, the drinking starts at 10 a.m.
Well, then the wedding is not happening that day at all. I don't know.
I was not prepared for this.
I don't even want to bring ice to the barbecue you invited me to. Surely do not ask me to do things to get you ready for the wedding.
Yeah, don't ask me to show up 9 hours early. I hope the things that I have to do are like where you just have to be present and do a walkthrough, and then you kind of... Here's the thing. Also, and I know I'm guilty of this because I just renewed my vows, but I didn't have groomsmen, so I didn't subject anybody to this. If you're going to get married and make me show up at 10 o'clock in the morning, do it during college football season. I'll come anytime. Like, no problem.
Tobacco won't.
Well, yeah, I get that. But if you're only missing the primetime game, do it in like a week 1 or 2 where Alabama is playing Middle Tennessee and they're going to blow them out by 75 points. But you got a couple of ranked games and at least good conference matchups for the 11 o'clock and the 2:30 slot. Then groomsman time is like way more fun.
Yeah, I guarantee you that.
What am I going to do? Watch a Toronto Blue Jays versus freaking Devil Rays game at noon?
Look, I guarantee you that
I probably would.
the husbands over here are saying yes to this, right? But and the people, the husband's friends are like, yeah, Brian, you're right.
Yeah.
The soon-to-be wife, they're like, we're not planning our wedding around college football so more people show up. They're going to show up. And if they don't, we're judging them.
I should be more upset that my buddy's wife didn't plan her dream day around what I do on my Friday afternoons when you take me away from the office. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So let's talk about investing, right? You know, the way that I look at this is as real estate agents. In fact, I Googled this just to see what Google comes up with. And I said, and I said, why real estate agents should be real estate investors? And one of the questions that is asked, and it's the top one, is what is better, a real estate agent or real estate investor? Ooh. And it says real estate agents earn commissions on their deals. This can vary from 1% to 5%, or sometimes even more, depending on the property. However, a real estate investor earns no commission. Rather, the investor benefits from the difference between the purchase price and sales price. So, look, is it better to be an agent or an investor?
That is the most Google-ass generic answer I've ever heard to a question like that. Well, what do you mean? Is it better to be a real estate investor and be a software engineer? Like, because you got to have, like, nobody starts out as a real estate investor because you got to have capital or resources of some sort. No, you don't. You can sweep floors. I get that. But what I'm saying is, like, real estate agent is just a stream of revenue, and real estate investor is a way to build wealth. So it's not like it's not really apples. It's kind of apples and oranges.
Well, I would say yes, and I agree. I would say being a real estate agent is better than being a real estate investor because as a real estate agent, it's easier, in my opinion, to get into the real estate investment game because you typically, if done correctly, you're finding the deals first.
Okay, so that's the answer, is it's better to be both. I would think that...
What comes first, the chicken or the egg?
No, you're right. But here's what I'm saying. We talk to so many people that are just getting into this
Harvey
business.
Chiming in from way over town.
Yeah, no licensing. That's a good part. I would argue that.
I'm going to tell you right now, Harvey, I hope you're listening, that the no licensing part, there may be some changes coming on. Maybe some changes. There's a lot of regulations starting to come out that we're probably going to need to see the investors needing to get licensed.
Nick knows people in high places. Okay, so we talk to a lot of people just getting into this business. We've talked to thousands of them over our careers. Does anybody that you talk to as far as their vision for their career when they get into real estate, do you ever hear them say, like, I really want to get into real estate and sell a lot of houses, but I have, like, no interest in investing in real estate ever? No, like, the reason you want to be both is because isn't that the vision for all of us, right? Like, think about this. real estate is a time-consuming endeavor.
It's a personal
Duh.
question.
Right now, nobody, because Dana's on a plane. She should be landing in Florida here in a second. So hopefully the whole thing doesn't fall apart in the next hour and a half.
Dana Wynn is managing. She is the managing property manager of Homeward DFW. She's amazing. It's not the three of us, by the way. And
If you're here, who's man?
yes, great question though.
Yeah, thank you for that. But okay, so if I want to be a real estate investor, what better industry to be in than the real estate industry in general, right? As a real estate agent, real estate investing is a time-consuming endeavor. You have to learn to underwrite deals. You have to do deal structure. You have to learn a lot of different facets of the business to be successful. And if I was making good money, being general manager of a corporation or something that had nothing to do with real estate, my time is already taken up with something that has nothing to do with real estate investing. So I actually have to spend a lot more effort. My return on time goes down. The main reason that it's good to be a real estate agent and a real estate investor is because you can overlap your time and get a higher return on your time than if I was doing something completely different for a living and then also trying to become a real estate investor, because we find most of our deals, by the way, and I know we'll get into this right now, we're sitting here with Joanna analyzing a deal. We find a lot of our deals that we end up investing in through our real estate agent activities. Yep. So what better profession to be in to be a real estate investor than being a real estate agent?
You hit on exactly what I was going to talk about, just the time efficiency part of it. You're already doing the activities that are going to lead you to those opportunities. You get to have first crack at the conversation, typically, right? Especially I'll use the one I went on an example today. It was straight up from an expired call. It's actually a real estate agent who is part-time, who's just looking for somebody to help. They were going through an eviction, so the house isn't in the greatest process. I rolled up to shit being put on the curb. It was the sheriff had showed up type of stuff, right? So they're dealing with all that. There was a 10-foot hole in the sheetrock in the garage. There's foundation issues, right? There's a hole in the bathroom ceiling. They swiped the stove, right? That just may not be a property that makes sense for that person to go and get ready to put back on the market.
Yeah.
And it's a perfect opportunity for an investor in this type of market. And if I didn't sit around you guys, I walked into an amazing conversation about ARV today. When you were saying that, I literally picked up my phone and started doing the ARV for that house. I was like, wait a minute, so what would it mean? You know what I mean? And I never really looked at it in such simple terms either.
What does ARV mean?
After repaired value.
I was like, what are we doing?
No,
I thought you were getting ready to start asking me to do math or whatever. You're
I
right.
thought he was asking for real for a second.
We do a shitty job for a second.
Well, we want to make sure that there's going to be people that don't understand some of these terms, right? So
Christine always tells me that. She's like, well, I'll be on her show and I'll say FSBO, and she's like, no, what is that, Matt?
You know who does that to me all the time? Is FSBOs but people like Harvey, who are military people, then when they talk to one another, it's like, oh, you're back in Baghdad. Who was your CPF? And I'm like, I don't know.
It's not a conversation.
I'm already totally lost on what's going on. I'd really like you to use the full words.
Yeah. It was a cool conversation with that lady today, though, and it was in direct efforts. That opportunity to even have that conversation or jump in when you guys were talking about that only came because I was calling expireds for my listing business, because there's an S-load of canceleds right now because people are just opting out of their agents, right? We had 60 opportunities yesterday. 6 or 7 were expireds, 4 withdrawns, and the other 50 were people who canceled. Yeah. It was August 9th.
It's primarily
a Tuesday.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? And what that tells me is that people went into the weekend giving their real estate agent one last weekend, called their agent on Monday and sent over the termination. The termination happened on Monday. That thing was popped free on Tuesday morning.
Well, and the thought process, if you're thinking this, the thought process for a lot of agents sometimes, well, if they cancel, that's because they're pissed off. They don't want to sell anymore because they're not going to get what they want. We literally just had a conversation with a seller. That's who we were running that ARV for. That was they canceled. They were listed with a big box institutional thing. Can't name names on this show because we're getting too popular. And they canceled with them, and the conversation was I know I'm not going to get what I was asking. I just had a terrible experience. I know my house needs work. I really just want an investor to come along and make me an offer. So that just because there's a lot of cancels, understand that doesn't mean that people's mindset is they don't want to sell. We've found that is far from true.
It's just working. You got to work the formula, and right now the formula is it's kind of looking where the problems are. So you've heard it before, and I'll say it again: is that money changes hands when problems are solved. So if you find where the problems are at the moment, is that homes aren't selling. right? Agents don't have solutions because they haven't been through this. And really the solution should be coming in with finding cash offers, but agents are afraid of presenting or going on the hunt for cash offers because what they don't want to do is present a low ball, or what ends up happening is that the listing agent gets so emotionally invested in getting the highest price for this house that it actually sets them up for failure from the beginning, and thus the reason why we're seeing cancellations.
It's the tail whip effect we were talking about a few months ago, meaning that seller sentiment and reality, when the market shifts, there's a period of time where there's a massive divergence, meaning like sales prices were running up, and demand was still really high. As demand tapers off, you still have sellers that expect the moon, even though they have a big equity position, and now demand has gone down. So you have like demand going down, right? You can see, and seller expectations still remaining high. And so you just have a little bit of a divergence there. Over time, normally over like, I would ballpark it in my head at like 120 days is when like the general public seems to kind of like settle in and things become boring and everything's sort of like normalcy and stuff like that. Over time, sellers and the general public kind of settle into the new normal. In the meantime, yes, you have a lot of agents that are very hesitant to have fierce conversations. And so we have a lot of agents that are kind of, the reason I would say there are so many cancels is because agents are not having good enough conversations around bringing investor offers or trying to solve problems or bringing solutions. So they're kind of just letting their listings die on the vine. And that's why you're seeing so many cancels right now. I don't think it's because there's sellers that are angry at the market. I think it's sellers that are all of a sudden in a totally different space than their agents are. And their agents are kind of just backing away from the conversation entirely because they don't know what to do. And I think that kind of brings it back to, that's why as an agent, it also makes a lot of sense to have the mind of an investor because you can bring an entirely different set of solutions to an entirely different set of problems.
So Rebecca Valera just brought up, she's like, hope you guys talk about Airbnbs today. And we can touch on that. You know, I know Brian's doing it. I have not gone down the Airbnb path. I've looked at it and explored it. There is someone who really, really wants to be on this show. And she's coming in the next couple of weeks, Beth Silverman, who does this at a very high level, where she's analyzing the deals and takes the investor through the process of Airbnb-ing it or looking at a different solution, which would be called pad split, and that's where you're renting out by room.
I didn't mean to. I thought you meant like something that happened with Airbnb today. I thought you just meant like, because they announced earnings recently and they had a big quarter. But I just thought there was like some news story.
No, we're talking about real estate investing for real estate agents. Not stock advice.
I just had thought, like, I read that comment wrong. Like, I thought it was like, what happened with Airbnb today? But we'll talk about them too. I'm sorry. Continue.
And so from this, if we're looking at where the opportunity lies, and this is something that there's two things. If you don't know who Josh DeShong is, go look him up. Right? Josh, by the way, he owns a company called Trelly, TRELLY.com. It's an app. It's an app. Go and download that. Let them know that Nick Good, Brian, and Matt sent you over there. We don't get anything from it, by the way. We just really want to support that app. Yeah. And Trelly is an app that is for real estate investors. It's like the MLS for real estate investors for off-market properties, right? I was saying it was like the Zillow for real estate investing, and he's like, nah, let's use the MLS for real estate investors of off-market properties. He likes that better.
That's wordier, but I think it makes more sense.
Yeah, people, if you're wanting to invest, you don't want to buy stuff off the MLS. You want to buy, off-market.
It actually is a super good resource, though. And so, we don't have any affiliation with them. The same way that we don't have any affiliation with Ferrari. But you should check them out too. Trying to get us some free cars.
Yeah, I can't get into a Ferrari. Like that's not.
That's true. It won't work for you.
Yeah, unless they do it for the tall people. Like Matt and I, it would be tough for us to get in Ferraris. Bro.
I did have that Testarossa hanging on my wall though in '87.
Oh, everyone did, right? Yeah.
Because look, you weren't thinking about what you look like getting in and out of that car.
And
right?
7-year-old Matt would have fit.
Yeah. For sure. And so what Josh had taught me, and this is not a secret formula, but we overthink this, is that in our real estate in business, and then if we were to put our real estate investment hat on, is that when we should really be out there looking for investment opportunities first, right? So you've got your check down list. So it's a list of 3. And it should be, number 1, you're looking at properties for you to buy for your portfolio, right? So that's the first one. So figure out what your buy box criteria is. Figure out what's your price point that you want to stay under. And then what would that look like for buying rental properties?
Yeah.
Then the second box is what you would wholesale it for, and really look at that. And something that Josh talks about and they are able to track with Trelli is that what's the sell-through rate, the success rate of selling something if you were to try to wholesale it. And so what Deshaun had mentioned to me, and actually we should probably bring him on the show, he's right up the road, is that if you were to put a home under contract that's at 70% or larger, meaning 60-65% of ARV, after repair value. So if the after repair value is $200,000, 70% of that would be
140.
There you go.
Too round of a number. You nailed it. I think that's right. It is right.
No, it is 100% right. All right. So 140 or less. If you were to put it under contract at 140 or less and wholesale it and sell it out there and assign the contract, there's a 100% sell-through rate, meaning you're going to sell it to another investor 100% of the time. Now, if you get it under contract at 80% of the ARV, it has about a 60% success rate of selling that. And so it's just understanding when you go in and you see what property owners are wanting and looking for. And then the last option on your list is, do you broker it, right? Then that's a traditional listing appointment and you're charging whatever commission amount that you charge. You have those 3 and you're generating every single day. You're lead generating. And are you more excited if you're lead generating for properties that you're going to buy for your portfolio or just looking for deals to broker?
Oh, definitely for your own personal portfolio.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. So this helps with mindset motivation, in my opinion, is that number 1, let's go start looking. Let's go down the list. Let's call it cancels. Let's call for sale by owners. Let's call expires. Let's call those withdrawals at least here, withdrawals are a little gray area.
It's funny because I've been doing my calls live for the company or whatever the last couple of weeks, and like that's one of those things that I went and asked the broker about. I was like, "How do we feel about withdrawing?" She's like, "I feel like there's still paper involved." I was like, "Sweet, we're skipping them."
Yeah. Because technically that technically means a withdrawal means that the listing agreement still stands, at least here in the state of Texas.
Yeah.
So let's try and get a little tactical here, right? You talked about a buy box before. A buy box is basically your criteria for this makes more sense as an investment deal than it does as anything else. If I am a real estate agent, I have my lead generation dialed in, but I have not really gotten to the investment side yet. How can I start today looking for, like, identifying investment properties and like what could my possible exit strategies be? How could I actually turn this into like a tangible thing that I'm doing every day?
So, I mean, first off, what's your lead generation? Like, I really want to look at what my lead generation mechanism is going to be, right? Is that going to be, could that be, let's look at it, we don't have a lot of money. So let's go with calling for sale by owners. Is that, going on Zillow.com and pulling the for sale by owner list? Is that going to RedX and investing $30 a month or whatever it is to get the for sale by owner list? Is that, is that partnering up with somebody? Maybe someone else has already spent it. Maybe you half it with them because they're not calling it. More than likely, most aren't calling it.
Right.
And really going and calling them and really understanding how to dig in for motivation. But at the same time, you're going to behind the scenes run the numbers. And so you could even do this, honestly, with deals that are on the market that are already listed so that you can really say, all right, is this home that's listed on 123 Home Street, is that really worth $500 that they're asking? And go work your comps. That's it. You go master the comps on that and really understand that at this very moment with a market shift, you need to be ultra conservative on how you're running where the market valuations are going to be.
Sure. Well, and I think you're 100% right in that regards the lead generation aspect and kind of identifying those things. What I think that your first step, if you're looking to get started, is to actually build what's called your buy box, right? That means, so like Nick and I have very similar mindsets around this. I believe that there are kind of 3 different exit strategies for every deal that is a single family. Multifamily is a totally different thing. We underwrite those differently. For a single family deal that I come across, the buy box essentially looks like this. Does it make sense to hold it as a rental? Does it make sense to wholesale it? Or does it make sense to flip it? And then you have rigid criteria around those three strategies. So, for example, if we're going to hold it as a rental, for me, are you still with 1% deal?
Minimum
1% deal, which means that if I were to acquire this property, I need to purchase it at a price that the monthly rental rate is 1% of my all-in price. Meaning, if I buy it and it's ready to go, then it's 1% of the sales price. If I buy it and I gotta put a bunch of renovations into it, then it's sales price plus renovations, right? And so if you can identify that, no brainer. If I'm doing a 1% deal, I'm holding on to that thing all day.
means that if you're in it for 200, it needs to rent for 2,000 minimum or greater, right? So that 1%, and that allows, because you're more than likely getting a loan on it, and so that allows you to have that nice profit spread.
Yeah.
Because what you don't want to do, and we used to look at when we were in the beginning of this, is like, as long as it nets us $200 a month, and then when you go and realize that's only $2,400 a year. Well, if my AC needs to go and get replaced, that's $6,000.
Yeah.
So now I'm out over 2 years worth
of
cash flow, and I'm screwed. And so you really need to go look at it and figure out, all right, 1% or more, and those deals are out there, by the way.
Yeah.
That was going to be my question, right? Because everybody likes to shit on that 1% thing now, with home prices being up so much and rents being up where they're at. So when you guys are evaluating these deals, not what lead source is, but I mean, Nick, you've been doing this and investing since 2010. You saw it when it was completely differently. What does the ratio of those deals really look like compared to what they used to look like?
I mean, look, it is harder.
Sure.
I mean, for sure. I mean, the lagging rents have gone up, but it's still lagging compared to where prices were. I mean, 2010, I could go buy something for 60 and it would rent for $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
Now I bought one in Pilot Point for $150. Now it's got a renter in there for $1,000. That doesn't hit my 1% rule, but I also will sometimes break it because I looked at it. I'm like, right now it's worth $230.
Yeah.
I need to put $30,000 into it, so I have an equity spread here of what is that?
So
almost
that's
$50,000.
Yeah.
Because I bought it for $150. I need $30,000 of work to bring it up.
So
I'm
it's
going to be in it for
$50,000
$180. So I'm at a $50,000 net gain on equity, and I will remove that tenant, or that tenant will come up to my price eventually.
Right.
So I will stair step him from $1,000 to $1,300.
Yeah.
I was able to loan myself from the company money, so my cost to borrow was a lot lower. So there's some strategies that I can do that works for me that others just starting can't. So I wouldn't advise people to do it. In all reality, if someone were to buy that same or look at that same Pilot Point deal and they didn't have the resources or just the money, it would probably just been better to either broker it or wholesale it.
Yeah. And like exactly what he's talking about. It's really, really important to understand the basics, because you can start to be flexible outside of the basics and make things work for you. So there's not a lot of move-in ready 1% deals in DFW right now. And on top of that, the best way to find essentially a 1% deal would be something like a BRRRR strategy, right? Where I'm essentially finding it is cold in here today, right? Like, so I am finding a distressed property that will be a 1% deal when I take a hard money loan out, renovate it, refinance it, and then based on what I'm actually financed and my cash in, now it becomes a 1% deal. So let's just say I have a home that I know will rent for $3,000 a month, right? And it needs $100,000 in work. I could take a hard money loan out, and depending on the sales price, maybe put that 100 in. I buy it for, say 175. I put my 100 in on the hard money loan plus the reno. I've got 10% down, so I'm putting 27,500 in, and now it's worth that 300,000 or whatever. And now it becomes a 1% deal, but I've only had to put 10% down. Whereas if I was doing a traditional deal on an investment property, I'd actually have to put 20% down on a regular move-in ready rental property. So you can start to be really creative with the things that you do if you kind of have your criteria up front. So yes, in North Texas right now, I don't think there are a ton of 1% deals. There are a lot of distressed properties that people are starting to be a lot more realistic around pricing, though.
So we were having a conversation with he's either canceled or expired today, and I was listening to it, and I was on a coaching call. So it was one of your, I should have been paying attention to coaching call, but immediately I saw and heard that the guy was wanting to take a loss, and so there are people
You were like, okay.
I'm like, hold on, coach, I need to go handle this.
Yeah.
And so there are people that need out. That one was $700,000. Yeah. Now that's not a rent to me. That's not a good rental opportunity. Like I'm not tying up that much money. Yeah. So going back to my Pilot Point deal, I mean, where else can you get something where if I were to sell it right now and I fix it up, were to sell it for $230,000, where else can you really go get a fixed up $230,000 property on a quarter acre? There's not a lot. So one of my mentors, Keith Francis, great. He was a great friend of mine, great friend of my brother's. The dude owns single family wise, I think he owns 130, 150 rental properties. Wow. And I was kind of running the numbers with him. I said it doesn't make a great rental. He's like, I'm going to tell you right now, buying it for that, having that much spread in it. He's like, you'll never regret owning something this cheap. Mm-hmm. And I was like, cool, done deal. Yeah. Because like you look back and like, during the 2010, 2011, I could go into the Colony that's right up the road from us, and we could buy properties that was foreclosures for $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. Then they went to 90.
Bro, you told me when Austin saw him at 90.
He's like, we're out. It's too expensive. Too expensive. And I'm like.
And he was probably right then.
Yeah.
It's been bananas these last few years.
Yeah, now those same properties are going for $400,000.
So stupid.
Like, think about that. Dude. We would have bought 100 of those in 2010 for $40,000.
Yeah, and just been
40,
done.
50. I was like, all right, I'm out, guys. I'll do this show 24/7.
Yeah, exactly,
yeah.
Man. Well, what you're saying with the Pilot Point deal, and this is what I want to talk about the next kind of parts of the buy box, something to keep in mind when we're basically just talking about single families that you're lead generating for, and it might make more sense to view them as investment properties. In most cases, we always look at our buy box as we need two exit strategies, meaning this either works as a rental or I could liquidate it, and this is what Nick is doing with the Pilot Point property. It will work as a rental. He's going to flex a little bit there because he has the equity position that the other exit strategy works as well. If one exit strategy doesn't work and you're done, you don't want to be underwater. So it's always good to have two of those boxes checked.
Well, and look, if the AC goes out, it doesn't bankrupt me. Like,
right.
and that's a difference. Like of you start owning and scale, and some make money and some break even. Maybe some even lose a little bit of money. But when they're buying, with the principal pay down is coming from the tenant now and the renters, and I start looking at my principal pay down, my equity gains start going up. Yeah. And so in the next 5, 10, 15 years, if I decided to liquidate, now I'm like, I don't care that I lost a little bit of money. Plus, it helps on taxes. And so you start looking at that. I'm like, okay, I've got 7 figures of equity that I don't think you're going to care that much if you can spread that out and scale it fast enough.
Well, and this actually goes exactly to the point that I was just about to talk about, right? If I'm looking to start to adjust my mindset to looking more for investment properties and things like that, let's say I don't have 20% down to buy my first rental property. My normal gut instinct is to think I'm kind of dead in the water here. I don't have the ability to play this game, right? Almost across the board, most great real estate investors get their start by partnering with people, right? Going back to the idea that you're in the best industry to find deals, most people who actually do invest in real estate aren't real estate agents. They need people to find deals. If I'm an agent right now and I come across a deal that I can't invest in myself because I don't have the capital up front, I'm going to every one of my clients and saying, hey, I need to take a look at this investment deal. This is a great wealth building opportunity. I'm not taking commission on this, but I want a small piece of equity in this deal. And then you're not going to see a lot of money up front. You're not going to see a lot of money right away. But I promise you, your ability to build equity like that over time, like that translates into way more than that one-off commission.
Sure. I mean,
it doesn't. I'm not saying make a career out of that, but I'm just saying if you're looking for, if your mindset listening to this right now is like, this sounds great, but I don't really have the resources to get started. The point I'm trying to make is there are creative ways to get into this game.
No, 100%. I mean, I'll be honest, I wouldn't want to partner with somebody. I'd just broker it. Just between me and me, I wouldn't want to have a business partner that if I didn't agree with what they're doing, they could hold me hostage because they were the money people. So there are strategies strategies, I would probably do that on a larger deal, not a single family. I would probably first work on, all right, let's broker it. And if it's off market, the way that I would do it is see if I could get a commission from the property owner. And then I also go charge a commission straight to my investor and say, look, you want this deal.
Yeah.
So I will maybe charge a little higher commission on that because, I'm bringing the goods. And so now my whole strategy with this is saying, all right, the commission I do on these goes into my down payment fund. If you do enough of those, it's not that hard to go save up 20%.
Dude, you're making a freaking good point there too, because I'm talking about, if I don't have the 20% down trying to partner, this is probably the best way to get started in real estate investing. Be super disciplined with your intentions and your commissions and go, if I don't have 20% down now, I am doing everything I can from the deals I close to make sure I have 20% in the future because I'm not going to let this deal get away from me twice. That's pretty damn good mindset.
I've bought properties from bad partnerships. Yeah. And so and usually the bad partnership comes because the person that didn't have any money got into it with the person that did, and the person with money said, screw it, I'm selling this and I'll sell it at a loss. Like I've seen more opportunities come from that than a lot of it. So look, I just say my mindset has always been, I want to treat this like, where as a real estate professional, we kind of, real estate investors dog on real estate agents, right? There's
I would also say rightfully so in a lot of cases.
For sure. So if you're a real estate professional, let's call it an agent on this one. If you're a real estate agent, not even a professional, and you want to start
an amateur real estate agent.
Yes. And so, if you start bringing deals to that investor or investors, guess what? They're coming to you.
100%.
And you now have the control. You are in the power seat.
I hate to do the token line thing, but yeah, your network is your net worth. If you start bringing consistent deals to a good group of investors, guess who's going to be involved in those deals pretty quick?
Yeah, and there's times when you're using your own money, you're going to overanalyze a deal to death. Mm-hmm. I know I've done it plenty of times. Yeah. And so go and take that money, and then make sure you're disciplined with it. So in that bucket, you have it's like, all right, I made X percent. Let's call it, I made $6,000 on selling it to this investor. I've got more in the pipeline. And, out of that $6,000, I need some money to live off. So I'm going to take $2. I'm going to put $4 in my 20% down payment bucket that I'm building up. And over time, you go find $150,000, a $200,000 house. That really means you need about $40,000 to $50,000. Yeah. There's probably some ways that you can build in the closing costs if necessary, so that you're only out that 20%, right?
100%.
So there's a lot of strategies that you can work with it, and I've always kind of used this analogy. I'm like, look, you want to become the best drug dealer out there when it comes to slanging houses, right? The people that do drugs, I've never done drugs, and so, but if I'm assuming that
what is drugs?
Yeah, if I've done some drugs or if I did them, I'm assuming I would want to get the best drugs, and I'm going to go to the best drug dealer.
Yeah.
And so I want to be
the best coffee available every day.
Yeah. So I want to be the guy known as I have the best houses out there that investors are coming to.
Nick's got that blue magic.
Blue magic. I was about to say the same thing.
What is that from?
That's from American Gangster.
American
Frank
Gangster.
Lucas.
What do they call? I don't know. I was going to go on a tangent about the drug names in movies, but
yeah. So look, that's how I've always looked at it. So sure you haven't. I really haven't. I can tell you that I've not. And so obviously the way I'm using these terms probably sells me out that I'm not a drug user.
The way he's so clunky around the lingo is probably an indication that he doesn't know what he's talking about.
What is the drug?
The drugs. But from that's how we've used that analogy and say, look, guess what? Investors are going to come to you, the good ones. Because how many times has real estate agents come, especially when they join teams.
Working with an investor.
Yeah, I had this great call today. And they want to buy 10 properties, right? And they've got this money lined up, and they said that just bring us deals.
My dad put this so well a couple of years ago. He's like, there are a lot of people out there that flipped one house. Yeah. And I feel like if you're in the investment game like we are, like that speaks volumes. It's so true, dude. It's so true.
Yeah.
I fell into that early in my career. There's a guy who called and he's like, I'm ready to buy houses like right now. And like I jumped up and went and showed him, and like I thought I had done something. We get out and he's like, all right, well I need like 3 days to like verify that we get the money. And essentially what he was doing was it was like some Big Brother situation where he
Yeah.
was out, and then he had to write to the people with the
He was
money
kinda
on why he
bird
thought it was a
dogging for
good
the
deal.
real
That's
investor.
100%.
Yeah,
He used
there's
me
a
to
lot.
open doors. I'm like, damn it.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of that. Right?
Didn't even get paid. You lost
No,
money on
no,
that one.
man.
Yeah. So like, you know, that's why I've never wanted to work with investors.
Sure.
As a real estate agent, right? I wanted them to come to me. So I'm going to go find the deal, and guess what? You're going to pay my price. If not, I've got plenty of other investors that will.
All right, so let me ask you this. As we talked, I mean, as we go back kind of like building that buy box, we talked about, you know, if it makes sense for you to buy it, that should always be your default. If you can buy assets, that cash flow, always do that. There's also the other two exit strategies, which are wholesaling and flipping, right? How do you, I know that I have my philosophy, I think ours is pretty similar. If I see a spread, I know that, look, this is a really distressed property. It would make more sense for me to put it under contract myself because I know I have an end buyer and I don't want to broker this. I'd rather wholesale it. Or I go, this is actually a really great project. I want to take this on myself and flip this and create a really quality asset here. How do you decide between those two strategies, numbers wise, or what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I can't give you I don't have an answer on that. My brother did. Sure. And I think, look, number one, I'm the type that likes to mitigate risk, right?
Okay.
So I like to get in, get out really, really fast.
That would be the good part of wholesaling, by the way, is very low risk.
Exactly. And I don't want to tie up too much money. I want to be in and out. It's a guaranteed, I know I'm guaranteed pretty much a return. And so in the flipping side, I have flipped a lot of houses with my brother on this one. And I'll tell you, we've made amazing money. I'm going to tell you, like, a lot. We've also, the last year that we were flipping, we made great money, and then on the last 4 of the year, we lost $250,000 on those 4. Ooh. And I would say that when we analyzed it, we would have bought those same deals again. We would have done the same thing again to them, and it was just kind of a weird little blip in the market. Yeah. And we were always concerned a recession was coming. We're just a little bit far out, and government helped kind of stall that tactic and what was happening. And so from that angle is I like to get in, get out. I don't have the appetite anymore or the mindset to I need to go flip to hit my creative outlet. My creative outlet is, hey, I made this amount of money. This is how much cash I'm stacking. And that to me is a creative outlet for me. I don't need to go paint the walls brown and green and somehow make a magical color and it looks badass. Like, I'll let other people do
actually,
that.
this is a really good point to make. So the, obviously we know, I mean, you know personally, I do as well. We know people that flip hundreds of houses a year.
Yeah.
And you know what's really, this is actually a great analogy. You know what's like really true about all really successful real estate agents is they don't really love looking at houses. Like the people that are like, I just got in this business because I really love looking at houses. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying over time it tends to fade. The real estate agents that are like really successful long term, it's a business to them and they run a business. And it's kind of the same with flippers. There's this attraction to flipping houses because you're creating something, right? And it's really alluring to create something. And I fall into this trap too. I haven't lost money, unfortunately, or fortunately, I should say. I have made less on several flips than I would if I had started a lemonade stand. So I've been pretty close, right? And that was because I should have just wholesaled those deals. I over improved them, or my timelines are way off, or whatever. And so I guess so. My buy box criteria is my return on time. I've gotten relatively good at this project. The net on this project, the opportunity needs to be large enough that it's going to be worth the 3-month renovation rather than just wholesaling this for. If I can make a 20% of my like margin that I can make on a flip, if I can make that on a wholesale fee and it only takes me a week to close and it took me 5 months to renovate the property, I'm probably not flipping that. I'm just going to wholesale it, right? If it only takes me, actually young Jesse's a great example. He sold a flip to my parents recently, and that was one that I was thinking, man, we should just put this under contract and wholesale it. They made 6 figures on that one flip. I was way wrong because they got it done way faster than I thought possible. I would have wholesaled it. So my default is always the velocity of money and my return on time. If I can just make a smaller amount but keep it moving, then let's do that. For me to flip a property now, I have no emotional attachment to the project itself. I don't flip houses because I think it's super fun. It can be super fun. Don't get me wrong. it ain't HGTV. It's a lot of work, right?
Chauncey Pham and her husband Derek, who they have a television show coming out about this. Look, they do really, really well.
Yeah.
Like, and she's great on the creativity side. She makes them look awesome. Tavis Westbrook, another one, right? And Tavis does
GOAT.
I would buy a Tavis Westbrook designed house. Like
They're tight, dude.
Yes,
He's good at what he does, man.
Yeah,
I've taken clients to him.
yeah, it's
100%.
real. They're amazing. I don't have that in me, and so mine is more, again, like you said, it's the velocity of money and my time invested, and I'm in and out so that I can go and focus on the next ones. And I believe, look, as a real estate agent who should be getting into real estate investing, there's two things. Is that on your first one, if you were to flip, how much more time are you actually spending on that that's taken away from all your other lead generation activities?
Exactly.
I mean, look, I know of at least 2 real estate agents personally who got out of the business because they got into a flip thinking it was going to be kind of what bailed them out, and it took them further down a hole right back to where they didn't want to go in the first
We're
place.
talking about the same people. We've seen people get knocked out
like
of this
gambling.
business because they spent so much time on their first flip. Their real estate business went by the wayside, and that's really heartbreaking to see. But that is when you get too emotionally attached to a project.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so you do that, and you know, it's you got to protect yourself on that, and just like you should have protection from Armadillo Home Warranty.
I love the segues
Yeah,
today.
right. It's all about the protection, and Armadillo Home Warranty will protect you and your clients with that great home warranty. So armadillo.1/tour. Hit up old Theron Smith over there, and Theron, and let them know that you want to get protected. You want that coverage.
Did Theron message you personally on the side and be like, "Hey guys, like seriously, you gotta stop calling me the Ron"?
No, actually, I've been waiting for him to say stop calling me that, but
I know he's like,
yeah, no, I think he likes it.
people are trying to search me and they're like hitting the space Ron.
The dash.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
No, I mean, Theron would be great on connecting if you're investing and buying, you know, even a flip. You should have a home warranty coverage because that can pass over. You should have it on your rental properties because that can help you on that. And look, it's a little write off. So
Shoot, get it on your listings too. Protect them when they're on the market.
Get that listing coverage, brah.
Well, and don't forget about when you have those rentals, who you should refer them to.
Ghostbusters.
that and homewarddfw.com.
We should have the Ghostbusters just at least take a sweep ahead of time. Just
you've
just
not-
do a once over.
If you've not on Netflix watched the movies that made us, first off, go check out the whole series. They're rad.
Yeah.
And the Ghostbusters one is freaking amazing.
Which one?
It's called The Movies That Made Us.
Are you out of your mind?
They do behind the scenes like Jurassic Park, Friday the 13th. Like they're all pretty good.
The
Elf.
Home Alone one is really good. Elf is really good. Die Hard's really good.
Check
There's
it out,
so
Die
many
Hard.
good ones. Yeah.
So Netflix has 220 million users. So
we just
I think we all got a
nerds
Netflix
like us
account
and
now.
can't get into real shows. And
Let's-
I watch like documentaries.
For
Those are fun.
Jane, let's see if we can get Beth on in the next couple weeks and talk about, because I know Brian does some Airbnb.
Airbnbs. Here you go, Rebecca. Super host and premier host right here. Here's the
This is going well.
Yeah.
This is going so well.
The buy strategies are way too big of a conversation. I will tell you, in the short-term rental game, systems, and your team. Your cleaner is your eyes on your boots on the ground, and your eyes and ears, and your manual for how the home needs to look. Exactly what to do every single time needs to be dialed in. I have a binder that's like this thick, and it is down to where the napkins go and all that type of stuff. And I actually thought it was overkill in the beginning. I realized that you really have to make it that simple because it's got to be a repetition. Because what will happen is that person you're relying on will get sick. Or like Angela, unfortunately, last week, got a stomach flu, ended up in the hospital, had to call another cleaner I had never spoken to before, didn't have any idea how to do Airbnbs, followed the book, got a 5-star review. It's systems. Try to automate as much as possible. Smart locks, smart thermostats, all that type of stuff. And then decorate and do your build out for the area and demographic, right? So like if you're in an area where, you know, it's maybe more like a modern affluent community, you might want more smart technology than like a more sort of like rural area where they're like, I don't want an Alexa in my house. I don't like that stuff, right? Like you got to kind of decorate and systematize for your demographic. But I will tell you, the big thing is your cleaner is way more than a cleaner. She's your restocker. She's the one that tells you when the lawn guy didn't come. She's the one that helps fix stuff when it's broken. She is everything. And pay her well, really well. That is like forge that relationship and take care of her.
What do you see?
Sure,
What do you
Jorge.
see the return typically on like on if you were to analyze it from a rental, long-term rental
Yeah.
versus just whether you're going to
Yeah.
do short-term or maybe corporate housing?
That is the one thing that I would say for the buy strategy, the buy box on that. It should be safe and be conservative. These things are a lot of work if you self-manage, so you'll get bored of it very, very quickly, and it would just become a pure money play. If it becomes a pure money play, make sure you're buying something that would work as a long-term rental. It would still cash flow. Don't buy a short-term rental that only cash flows as a short-term rental, because I will promise you, the short-term rental aspect of it gets very unsexy very fast. You're going to get annoyed with having to manage this thing, and the money's got to be right. And at some point, you may want to turn it into a long-term rental, so make sure you buy it that way out of the gate and enjoy the enhanced cash flow as a bonus for your time.
Well, it may not be,
Don't-
and it could not be recession-proof, right?
It may exactly. It may not be recession-proof either. So make sure that you can turn into a long-term rental and just sell all the furniture or whatever. But please do not ever buy a short-term rental that only works as a short-term rental.
So do you think that maybe in the future that Homeward DFW, the premier Dallas-Fort Worth property management company of the Stars, right, that they could be managing,
Maybe not
helping,
the Stars hockey team, but you know.
just of the
It'd
Stars.
be cool for them too. Like
Celebrities.
we're the
Not-
official property management company of the Dallas Stars
I didn't
investment
say
portfolio.
Dallas
Cool.
Stars. I just said of the Stars. So you can take that any way that you want. It could be, are they movie stars? Are they athletes? Are they just
Or maybe
the
just the
stars
stars
in general?
Stars in
And
the
so,
sky.
Big
you know,
balls of gas.
Yes, and so from that, homewarddfw.com, right?
I'm going to leave that up to Dana. I believe that it's a great revenue source for property management companies. So if you're watching this on your vacation,
But you should be.
I think we should do
And
it.
she's probably staying at a VRBO too.
You know what? She probably is.
Yeah.
So she probably is already getting that firsthand experience.
HomewarddFW.com.
For all your short-term rental needs.
Yeah, not just your long-term rentals, your short terms. And Dana will personally make sure that it's a great experience.
She's cussing somewhere.
Yes.
All right, Jesse, I don't have one. I know that you're, but I know. Actually, I have a short one, really, really fast. It's not a good one.
What, Brian's
I
billionaire
would,
idea?
I would just
Yes.
think that
Do we
I
have the
said-
intro?
I said last. Oh no.
I would. No,
Is
we
that
don't
a-
have the.
no.
That's the problem.
No, I thought we had it in there.
I want to do a hypothetical question,
I
but I
don't
have a
think it is.
mini
Hold on.
billionaire idea really fast before we do
No.
it. I think it would be really funny if I was a billionaire, that if I would live in a major city, obviously, and I would travel around to major cities, and I would, by default, sort of pseudo go on my own tour, meaning like if I was visiting New York, I'm Jeff Bezos as an example. I'm just going to go to Madison Square Garden, and if the Foo Fighters are playing, I'm just going to talk to the roadie and just be like, hey, can I just go up and sing Everlong? And they'll be like, well, yeah, you're Jeff Bezos. Of course you can. The crowd's going to go nuts. Like, they're like, Jeff fucking Bezos saying Everlong? You're going to think it's a one-off thing. But I need to fly to L.A. for a meeting the next day. And now J-Lo's playing. And I'm going to do the same fucking thing. I was going to continue to do that my entire business trip life until I get bored of it or people boo me off stage.
He's gonna be like the damn guy who wore the Marlins jersey
Oh yeah.
behind home plate at the
Oh,
World
yeah,
Series, and then he
that's right.
started popping up everywhere at every event. And I was like, this
yeah.
is just a rich dude who's sitting on camera now.
It's annoying because you don't know who he is. He's got to be a famous
Well, he
billionaire.
wore
to be
Marlins
funny.
gear everywhere, which is my biggest sports pet peeve. Like, if the two teams involved
Yeah.
are not one of the jerseys you're wearing, just go home.
Yeah, why are you wearing a
Don't
Phillies
forget about-
jersey to like a Yankees like
he
Red
want-
Sox game?
Yeah, 'cause
It
he-
annoys
Don't forget
me.
about the bit where the guy at college game day has the Washington State flag.
He does.
every
Every
single
time.
week
Yes.
for years.
Okay, so maybe we don't even do a hypothetical question because somebody made a comment before that still annoys the crap out of me because I was talking about the Rays game or whatever, and they're not called the Devil Rays anymore.
the Satan Rays.
Like, are we?
They're what?
Satan.
They're just the Rays now.
I don't
The
want to get into
Rays.
these social issues too deep, but are we so like we can't handle the word devil, that we have to
The Satan
I get
rays.
listen.
I think it's marketing. I think
No.
you're looking at it wrong. I think
There's
it's
a
just
team called the New Jersey Devils. They're doing fine marketing wise.
Yeah, but it's a sport that people care about. The Rays, nobody's showing up to their games.
That's fair.
Like it's
Well,
like
it's
they're not
because they
home to their
suck.
like they're just I mean, like
Does the change of do they just dropping devil help
Yeah,
them
they're like,
make-
well, I'm not into Devils, but I'll go to
I
the
don't
regular
know.
Rays
I don't
game.
know.
For me, like, I don't even mean to be insensitive. Like, from a social aspect, I understand, the Cleveland Guardians now and the Washington Breadsticks or whatever they're
Breadsticks.
called, right? Like, whatever they're called, right? Like,
Commanders.
yeah, Commanders. Thank you.
What is
I understand
Cleveland
that. What? The Cleveland
Guardians.
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 I
What were they
understand
before?
that. Listen,
The Indians.
I get that.
Baseball.
I am not going to even touch that subject. I get it. I think there are different perspectives, but I get it, right?
I don't think it was social media that brought down the Devil Rays.
That's
I really
what I'm
think
saying.
it was
It's like,
marketing.
who was so upset about the word devil? They were like, well, we can't piss off that guy because he is pretty powerful and scary. Did you think he was going to come get you? What are you even so upset about? I don't understand why you had to remove that particular word.
I'm waiting on the Brian's billionaire idea where you just go name every sports team just something that's on the opposite
On
end
the
of the
opposite
spectrum,
end of it.
and no one shows up, but eventually they will. because you just haven't caved in. I'm waiting for that one.
The New York Giants would be a very offensive opposite, and I won't say it on the air. But I understand where you're going with this, and I think it would be a hilarious bit.
What was that?
Nope, not going to do it.
I think y'all brought it up last week.
Y'all
Yeah,
my ass.
Yeah,
Y'all
we
my
ejected
ass.
on that immediately.
Did I? I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
We just super. Yeah, exactly. It's a real animal. Blame the zoos. I don't think. Am I dumb in thinking? Am I dumb in thinking that zoos name animals? I don't think they do.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think where do animals' names come from? I don't know.
All right.
Every year, there's just the most popular zoo gets to rename shit.
They should. They should each do like a congress where they get to rename one animal.
Mortgage Mike of Texas.com.
HomewardDFW.com.
Yeah.
Everything that contributes to this freaking train wreck of a show.
Armadillo.1/tour.
Thank you
Mortgage
so
Mike.
much for everything. We're so sorry.
Homeward.
Get us the hell out. Do something. Push buttons. Make it stop. Bye.
Thanks for watching the show today. Make sure if you're watching this on Facebook, you head over to our group, the only real estate group worth being a part of, so you can watch the extended conversation. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And if you listen on the Apple Podcast, leave us a review. We'd really like it. So just do it. Do it. Do that over there. Go to this one. Then go to that one. Thanks.